Hi, my name is Beverly Johansson, and today I'm going to talk about the benefits of no-dig gardening and how to start off your own no-dig vegetable garden. But first, I guess I should tell you a little bit about my husband and myself, because we are as far away from the sort of image of a farmer as possible. Until 2017, we lived pretty much a city life. We have both worked in business all our lives and have never really grown anything and haven't even been able to keep indoor plants alive. But for various reasons, in 2017, we decided to move out to a little town outside of Stockholm and try to become self-sustainable in terms of our vegetables and fruit and eggs as well. We have some chickens now. It all changed when that happened, when we moved out to this little town, and we spent hundreds of hours learning everything we could about organic vegetable growing. And then quite quickly we became introduced to the concept of no-dig, which to us made perfect sense. And so we planned our first vegetable season in 2018. We planned it in minute detail, being the nerds we are, using all our business experience, spreadsheets and formulas and calculations. And so we were well prepared, but even, well preparedness doesn't prepare you for what happens in reality. But we've learned a lot along the way since then. And we've made a lot of mistakes, but primarily we have had a lot of successes, and our results have exceeded our wildest expectations. Apart from the exotic fruits and vegetables, we are self-sufficient year-round. So my message to you is, if we can do it, anybody can.
I think, first of all, we should look at what are the disadvantages of traditional gardening methods. In traditional gardening, where you dig and till the soil, there's a number of things that you do. Firstly, the earth is stimulated to repair the damage that's been done. And how do they do that? Yes, the earth starts producing an increased weed growth. And so, when you're tilling the land, you will find that you get a lot of weeds. Secondly, you destroy the vital microbes and fungal mycelium, whose function is to mobilize nutrients in the soil and increase plants' ability to absorb nutrients. Thirdly, any aerobic pathogens that have been lying dormant in the anaerobic environment beneath the soil surface are raised and exposed to the air, and this can contribute to several plant diseases. So what are the advantages and benefits of no-dig gardening as opposed to traditional gardening methods? As we said, there's no digging or tilling, and that results in fewer weeds. Also higher yields of product, because the quality of the soil that you produce is so much higher than the quality of soil when you till the land and use artificial fertilizers. You can plant plants much closer together and get higher yields per square meter. The plants tend to be healthier because you've got this very active fungal life in the soil, which is feeding the plant roots. Better quality produce with more nutrients, less watering, because you are building up the quality of the soil and the structure of the soil. It has an ability to retain water to a much better degree than traditional soil from traditional farming methods. And also increased soil fertility. One of the things you do in no-dig gardening is you try and leave as many of the roots as possible in the soil, and they break down over time and contribute to the fertility of the soil. So there were three key facets of the no-dig method. Firstly, soil is undisturbed so that its organisms can work and multiply just as they should be doing. Most soil already has the structure for the roots to grow and nutrients to feed plants, and it's full of growth-enabling organisms. So since the last time you dug or tilled or forked your soil, it has been healing itself with networks of fungi and the recreation of a stable structure. So with no dig, you simply and literally build on what nature was intended to do. Secondly, organisms are fed with organic matter on the surface, just as in nature but faster. So in no dig, you put compost onto the surface of the soil rather than digging up the soil and applying artificial fertilizers. Just like in the woods, leaves will gradually rot and give their nutrients to the soil. So allow the soil to work its magic. Nutrients will become available when they're needed by plants. The roots ask the fungi under the soil for food and moisture, and fungi works best when undisturbed, which is why you see stronger growth in no-dig soil. So the focus in no-dig is on feeding the soil rather than the plant. So put another way, plant feeding is about biology, for example, fungi, more than chemistry. For example, nutrients and minerals, which is the focus in traditional gardening. Okay, so how does our growing year look? Each year begins for us with a very detailed plan, which I do basically in the autumn, the year before. And that plan lays out exactly what I will do day by day and week by week in terms of when to seed, when to harden the plants, when to plant out, and when to harvest each type of vegetable, and which beds they will go into. We use an Excel program for this. That's absolutely not necessary if you only have a couple of plots. But if you have an area that is as big as ours, which is around 500 square meters, then I would say without a plan, it would be a nightmare. We use this plan to calculate how much seed we need for the year. And then we order our seeds in December, the year before the vegetable season. We always try to have at least 2 years' supply of seeds so that we have some extra and to guard ourselves in case there are any supply chain problems. We start seeding indoors in the beginning of March, and most of our plants are actually grown from seed indoors. And the reason for that is that we have such a short growing season in Sweden that we really need to use every opportunity to get a head start on getting the plants started, so that when we plant them out, they are robust and can become mature in time before the autumn comes. And as you see, the seeding takes quite a lot of space, and we actually sacrifice our music room during the seeding period between March and June to give space for these plants. We have special propagators that we use, which have lights that automatically turn on and off, and we water the plants, the seeds, manually. But once the seeding is done, that is quite an intensive job, then it's just a case of making sure that they don't dry out. So how do you get started with your no-dig garden? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to plan your beds. You can pretty much build your beds directly onto the grass or the soil or light weeds, no problem at all. There is one exception. If you have a very heavy and persistent growth of root-propagated weeds such as couch grass, you can experience quite big problems with weeds growing into your bed in the first year. That will go away in the second and third years. But in the first year, if you want to avoid that, then I would recommend that you cover the ground with thick plastic the season before you want to start growing. But assuming you don't have that problem, then it's just a case of rolling out cardboard directly onto the ground, no digging, no tilling. You can plant on top of grass or light weeds. The cardboard should be quite thick. If you have a small property, you can just save up cardboard boxes and flatten them out and put them on. We have a lot of beds, so we buy rolls of cardboard that are 75 centimeters wide, and that makes the whole process a lot easier. Then you fill up with 20 centimeters of fine quality compost. We use composted cow manure, which is delivered in bags, which is very convenient. But you can use garden compost, or you can use horse manure, providing the horses, you're sure the horses haven't been given antibiotics and worming medicine, because that is not good to have on your plants. We enrich the compost by adding some rock dust powder and crushed oyster shells. And then we build the walkways in between the beds. Again, we roll out cardboard and we fill up with wood chips to the same height as the grow bed. And that gives a nice surface to walk on, and it also stops weeds growing in between the beds. And it makes it look very pretty too. You also need to prepare an infrastructure to protect your vegetables. You should secure the perimeter against strong winds and wildlife. So if you have problems with moose, like we do, or boar or roe deer, you will need some very strong and high perimeter fencing. You'll need a strong windshield, particularly if you're in a windy area like we are. We'd advise you to have a ditch around the perimeter if you have a lot of weeds in the area. It keeps the weeds from coming into the garden area, and it will save you a lot of work. Vole traps and vibrators to keep the voles away if you have problems with voles. Very vital is to secure your water supply. Without water, there's no vegetables. Insect nets and supports for the insect nets are vital. We cover everything in the garden because without that, you will get a lot of damage to your plants. Bed covers to cover the beds when they don't have any plants in them, and that will protect the soil and stop nutrients from being released from the soil. It's advisable to find ways of ensuring pollination. We built a very elaborate bee hotel. It was a total failure. Not one bee has made its home there. But what you can do is you can plant a bed of bee attracting flowers, and that is very effective. And here are some pictures of our vegetable garden in the middle of the season. As you see, despite our harsh Scandinavian climate, our vegetables grow and flourish. In the beginning, we had a large amount of different types of vegetables and a lot of greens. In more recent years, we have concentrated mainly on the storage crops, so the root vegetables and the peas and sweet corn and beans, things we can freeze and things we can keep in the root cellar. We also have fruit and berries that we can make jam and conserves with. We work in the garden between the beginning of May and about the middle of September. So that's our growing season. And at the end of that, then after we've harvested the plants, we prepare the beds for the following season by putting 5 centimetres of compost on top of each bed and covering them with row covers. Harvest time is a very work-intensive period, and that is round about August through to the beginning of September. It's very important before you harvest to think about how you're going to store your vegetables, because self-sufficiency is not only about having vegetables during the short growing season, it's also about having vegetables in the middle of winter too. So we have a root cellar, quite a large root cellar, where we keep our root vegetables, and the temperature is about 4 to 5 degrees. And we also have another area where we keep our onions and our winter squash and our preserves, and that is around about 8 to 10 degrees. We also have a large chest freezer where we store all the peas and beans and sweet corn and fruit and berries over the winter. If you're interested in finding out more, we have a website with a large amount of information and a lot of detail. The website is nodigsweden.wixsite.com/English.
Okay, so what about you guys who are sitting there thinking, well, you know, it's okay for you who have moved out and closer to the countryside and who have been able to buy a property. What about me, who I live in an apartment in town, I don't have the money to invest in a property, and I don't have the facilities to be able to store my vegetables. What do I do? And yeah, I'm saying it is definitely a complicating factor, but this is the time to get creative, and there are solutions. Getting together with other people, doing various things, and we're going to try and update our website to give you a few ideas. I'm not saying it's easy, but looking at the way society is developing now, I think it is probably worth a few short-term pains for the long-term gains. So good luck, and I hope this has inspired a few people to think about starting to grow their own vegetables.